Hello, everybody. We will be continuing our topic of investment decision, which we started in our last lecture, and we'll be talking about factors affecting long-term investment decision. First of all, so we have learned that investment decision it is of two types. One is long-term, and second is short-term investment decision. When we say long-term investment decision, always that decision related with investment in fixed assets. That decision is mainly related with investment in fixed assets if the investment is done for long term period. And always we see that investment, once it is done in fixed assets, the investment is always done in huge amount, and that is why it is also called capital budgeting decisions. We have learned that. And if the investment is done in huge amounts, always the organization is investing keeping in mind the long term returns. So, following factors have to be taken into consideration for taking long term investment decisions. The first is cash flow of the project. We have to understand, first of all, one thing, that if the organization is having more than one projects for which investment has to be done, then the organization can take the decision for investment in any one of those projects, first of all, on the basis of the cash flow which is going to be generated from each project. When we say cash flow means cash receipts as well as cash payments. If the organization is investing in a particular project, what will be the situation of cash receipts? It is and cash payment from that investment, because it is investing to generate some cash flow within a time period. So, in this case, there may be two situations in which the firms will have to decide. The first situation would be like that the organization has to invest in huge amount, and after investing in huge amount, the returns will come also in huge amount, but after a very long period. There may be another project in which investment is done in huge amount, but there is every chance that returns will come regularly after a short term interval, in a reasonable amount. So here the situation is that once the investment is done in project 1, huge amount of fund will be blocked for a very long term period with an expectation that the return will come in future in huge amount, but it will be after a very long period. In the second situation, the investment is once again done in huge amount, but very soon the returns will come, and it will come at regular intervals in reasonable amounts. So the firm has to take decisions in which project it would like to invest if the choice has to be done. Generally, the firm prefers to invest in second project as compared to the first in this case, because we see that always the returns will be coming after short interval. So it depends upon the cash flow position. If the firm is in need of liquidity in the organization and it has to make investment decision, it will always go for the second project. So the first factor is cash flows of the project. If an organization is having only one project in hand, then what it has to do? Then too it has to estimate the receipts and payments, keeping in mind the firms in the same industry, other firms which are working in the same industry, what return they are getting, so that it can estimate and compute whether it should go for that project would be feasible for the business or not. So first factor is cash flow of the project. It has to be estimated properly. The second is the rate of return. Exactly, it is not only the rate of return but also the risk involved. Both has to be seen in this. We can take it with the help of an example. If there are two projects, say A and B, in first project it is expected that 12% return is going to come, and in the second 15% return is going to come, and the risk is same or moderate, you may say, in both the cases. I'm writing M for moderate. Then it is for sure that project B will be selected, because here the risk involved is the same and the return is coming out to be higher. So this is the second factor which has to be taken into consideration whenever long-term investment decision is done. The third factor is investment criteria involved, which is also called capital budgeting techniques. Why it is called capital budgeting? Because whenever the investment is done, always there are different techniques to measure the investment proposals, which is called capital budgeting techniques. Whatever techniques may be adopted, it is necessary to compute or to calculate the cash flow positions, cash flow, expected returns from each project, the risk involved, interest, and other expenses which the organization or the company will have to bear, and then only go for that project which can fetch maximum returns, or which is, you may say, most profitable. So these are the three factors which has to be taken whenever long term investment decision is taken in any organization. Estimation of cash flow position, rate of return and risk involved in it, and also calculation of the investment proposals of the various projects, through which proper estimate should be made by an organization as to which project it should opt, and then only the investment should be done. So we have also learned that investment decision is of two type. One was long term investment decisions. So we have completed long term investment decisions and factors affecting. We also have to understand factors affecting short term investment decisions. We have learned that short term investment decisions that are mainly taken in an organization to meet working capital requirement needs, that means day to day needs of an organization, and that is why there is need to estimate the day to day requirements of the organization. That is, there should be proper balance in order to balance proper balance between the current assets and current liabilities. And always, whenever we talk about the working capital requirement needs, we see that these requirements may be in the form of cash, these may be in the form of inventories, these may be in the form of receivables, debtors, marketable securities. So there may be different forms of current assets. In order of liquidity, the current assets that is converted into cash or its cash equivalent. But current assets always have low returns. So unnecessary, you may say, funding of the current assets or investing in the current assets without estimating its proper utilization is always considered to be bad decision, because if there is excess of current assets, it is going to increase the liquidity, and if greater will be the liquidity, less will be the profitability. We have learned this ratio. So always short term investment decisions that is related with management of working capital, which says that neither excess nor shortage of working capital should be there in the organization. There should always be adequate working capital available in the organization to meet the day to day requirements of the business, so that neither liquidity nor profitability is impacted. That is why always the factors affecting short term investment decision is based on liquidity and profitability equation in any organization. So, keeping this in mind, the requirement of the working capital should be met in any organization so that the smooth operation of the business can take place. And if there is proper management of cash, inventory, receivables, debtors, we will see that the raised fund that is being properly utilized, and it will make the financial decision effective, and that in turn is going to give good return to the organization in the form of adding value to the shareholders' wealth. So finally we conclude that investment decision should always be taken keeping in mind that the return on investment is greater than cost of funds, then only the value addition is going to take place, and that will lead to increase in shareholders' wealth. And if there is increase in shareholders' wealth, the market price of the shares will also rise. In this way, the first type of financial decision, that is investment decision, and the factors affecting investment decision, we have completed today. After this, we will be learning about the second type of investment decision, and that is financing decision, in our next lecture. Till then,